There's really no boundaries with desserts. Do you know what I mean? The creative side, and it is like art, for me, art on a plate, seeing people love my food, and that kind of like really drives me forward to be better.
This is the Deep in the Weeds podcast. I'm Anthony Huckstep. There's a real art to pastry and desserts. In fact, it's often the part of a dining experience where a chef has the biggest license to thrill. But how do you build the foundation and the skills to get to a point where your creative flair can truly bubble to the surface? Jo Ward is an award-winning pastry chef. Jo, how are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thanks, Huck. How are you?
I'm really good. You've been doing amazing things your whole career, but you've ventured off on yourself at the moment. What's going on?
Yeah, I thought I'd take a little bit of a sidestep from restaurants. Obviously, coming from society and working with Lard and Ben, I kind of was a little bit lost after that, where to go to and what to do from there. So I kind of decided to branch out on my own, build my own brand, and I've just been working on a lot of pop-ups and collaborations and cooking demos and private events and stuff like that. So that's been quite fun and rewarding. So yeah.
Was it a hard sort of leap to make from, you've been in so many restaurants all your career. Was it easy for you, or was it a hard move?
Yeah, it was, it's different, but yeah, as I said, it was, I didn't want to work just anywhere for just anyone. Do you know what I mean? So I really kind of wanted to showcase what I could do without having any boundaries or limitations. So yeah, it's been great.
You've been doing sort of pop-ups and working with different people. Does it sort of make you think differently about your craft and the art of what you're doing?
Yeah, obviously working with like different people and different figures like really kind of push you to do better and like in your career. I feel you learn a lot from everywhere you go and everyone you work with, and you take something from them, I guess, everywhere, and you kind of like build yourself to be the chef that you want to be.
I want to explore sort of what you're doing and what your plans are for the year ahead as you sort of venture out on your own and build your own brand. But take us back to when you were young. What sort of role did food play for you growing up?
I grew up in a really small town on the coast of New South Wales called Port Stephens. And yeah, there was a small town. Obviously, there wasn't many restaurants. There wasn't a lot of opportunities as a chef. I was a very simple eater. Mum kind of cooked like meat and 3 veg kind of situation. We ate a lot of seafood. My mum's partner at the time was a professional fisherman, so I would help him, go fishing. We, catch all sorts of things, and we would eat a lot of seafood. So the ocean and seafood is like quite close to me. So yeah, like I wasn't really introduced to gourmet food when I was young. And yeah, I actually wanted to be an architect. Like I wasn't actually interested in being a chef until I started out at the local hotel washing dishes, and I just was like super shy. So I was like, head down, bum up, just washing dishes. Did a really good job, and then I started helping out the chefs, do some prep jobs and, played up for the buffet and whatnot. And, they just kind of said, you're really good at this. Have you thought of, pursuing a career in food? And that's where it kind of all started.
So tell us about those first couple of years after you got your foot in the door. What were the really important sort of venues and people that you worked with?
So obviously I started at this local hotel. I kind of worked my way through each section, and I kind of felt like, I didn't want to qualify in one venue. I wanted to learn more, I wanted to like know more. But also at the same time, I didn't want to venture away from the ocean, So I was kind of, where can I go that I can learn as much as I can, but still be close to the water. So I thought an island would be ideal. Everything's kind of made on the island, and I could learn from. I could learn from like many chefs. There were several different outlets, different styles of restaurants. So I decided to move up to the Whitsundays and finish my apprenticeship at Hayman Island, which was one of the best resorts up in the Whitsundays at the time. And yeah, I started out there as a what we used to call a fruit bat. So we just basically cut fruit for the breakfast buffet from like 5 o'clock in the morning till lunchtime. And yeah, it was quite monotonous, but obviously I didn't want to stay there, so I was like, I need to kind of get somewhere that I'm going to really like learn something. So I asked my boss to introduce me to the pastry chefs. They had like this really well-equipped pastry kitchen with a bakery attached. They made all the bread in-house, everything. They had a chocolate room, and I was just like, I was just like, I was in awe. And I needed to work in there. So I would finish my shift as a fruit bat, and I would go into the pastry and I'd just, do odd jobs for them, separate eggs, like, just watch them while they did their chocolate showpieces, and just like really tried to show them that I was dedicated and that's where I wanted to be. And then, an opportunity opened up in there. Someone left. So I got in there, and I was basically taught from the ground up by really European, classically trained pastry chefs that were super hard on me. So kind of like really pushed me to like strive and like learn more. I used to like take my chocolate piping bag home and practice my chocolate writing, and like roll chairs back in my room, and just wanted to be better and better. So that was a fun time.
Pastry is such an exacting science. In those early days when you were learning your craft, do you remember sort of any sort of stories of where things went wrong when you were sort of trying to master it?
Yeah, there was a lot of times that things went wrong. I mean, like souffles were they still a bit of a little bit of a sore point for me. They're just quite stressful in my opinion. I've had a lot of failures there, but it was great to learn from these classic trained chefs. They were very, very hard on me. Like I learned techniques. Like I wasn't allowed to use a thermometer for checking the temperature of sugar. I had to use my finger and feel it. Tempering chocolate, we used our lip to test the temperature. There was never any thermometers. And I just learned the real basics. And now, I don't need, the equipment. You can kind of just see when things are ready, and, you can tell by just looking at things what's going to happen and what's going to go wrong. So that was a really rewarding experience, I think, starting out up there.
Living on an island and learning your craft is a little bit different to most situations for chefs, and sort of when it's not so beautiful, the surrounds. Where did you go from there, and what was it like leaving that sort of environment?
It was hard. It was very hard to leave, but being working in pastry, I really I qualified up there as a chef in the cookery side, and I just really wanted to pursue pastry because I just loved it. I just loved the technical side, the creative side. I've always been really artistic, and I just loved being able to create things with food. So I wanted to pursue a qualification in pastry as well as my cookery apprenticeship. So I decided to move to Melbourne, where all the best restaurants were, and there was really some really great chefs here that I thought I could gain from. And so I moved here to pursue a pastry course, qualify me as a pastry chef. And at that time, I started working at Phoenix in Richmond, which at the time was, it was. They were doing some really modern food. It was owned by Raymond Capaldi and Gary Megan. George Columbaris was the head chef at the time. So, they were doing some really progressive food, things that I've never seen before. Liquid nitrogen. I was introduced to the Paco Jet. It was just a really modern, awesome time. And it was quite a volatile kind of environment, I'd say there, which I didn't love. So I kind of I thought I'd move on, and at the time Taxi Dining Room was just been awarded 2 hats, Restaurant of the Year. So I thought that's where I need to be. So I got my foot in the door there as a demi in the pastry section, and yes. I really loved that kind of environment. That was really positive, environment. They were very supportive, really positive work culture, and I just really loved working there.
Michael Lambie did some amazing things there at Taxi Dining Room, and you worked with him. Do you have any stories of what it was like to work with him?
Yeah, Michael Lambie was very inspirational. I started there obviously as Demi, and he sat me down like I think a few months in, and said the pastry chef's not working out. We'd really like for you to take over as head pastry chef. And at the time, I was nowhere near ready. Like I was still quite green. Like second restaurant I've ever worked in, and I was just like, I'm not good enough. And he basically said to me, like to be a great chef, is not just about being a great cook. You need to be a great leader. And he said, I'll sit you down every week and I'll train you to be a good leader, like great leader. Would you like that? And I was just like, absolutely. So yeah, he did that, and he really built the confidence in me to kind of go on from there to like pursue leadership roles in pretty much everywhere I've gone since. So, yeah, that was a very pivotal moment in my career working with Michael Lambie.
Do you remember any sort of desserts from that period of time when you were head pastry chef for the first time that really stand out from your time at Taxi?
Like as I said, it was like I was super green. I look back on desserts that I created there, and like to see where I've kind of come like to now. It's just like, oh wow, I can't believe I was doing these things. But that like obviously is a progression in your career. You get better and better, and it was just a great environment, and just like my eyes were open that such a positive like kitchen existed. Like it was just a great place to work, and it was an awesome time.
You ventured over to London and spent a bit of time with Philip Howard at the Square. What was that like?
Yeah, that was great. Obviously, the next step for me was to go and check out like Michelin restaurants, and I packed my bag and I went to London. I started off working in a pub, pulling beers, living above the pub, and just until I kind of found my feet and decided where I wanted to work and where I wanted to live and whatnot. And I decided on the Square. Obviously it had such a great reputation. So many awesome chefs have come through there, and I just thought it'd be a really great experience for me and a great thing to have on my resume. Started out, obviously, when you start out, you're not allowed, you do a lot of things. Like I churned a lot of ice cream and made a lot of bread, and you just kind of learn the importance of consistency and like discipline, and just at that highest level. It was an amazing experience. But for me, London, I didn't love London. Like, the weather, like it was dark all the time. I never had any money. Like it was just, it was quite difficult.
You moved back back to Australia and went to Hamilton Island for a couple of years. What was that like after your time in dark, moody England?
Yeah, well, I was craving the sun and the ocean, and I really needed that. And this venue was like state of the art, and so where the celebrities went, and it was really exciting. I was sous chef there for a couple of years, just enjoying the lifestyle up there, the sun and the water. Then I realised I needed to come back to Melbourne to kind of like build my name and build my career in Melbourne, where like the place to be, the foodies kind of capital. The opportunity arose at Omnom to lead the pastry section there. Yeah, so that was the opportunity of a lifetime for me. Going into a completely it's a dessert focused venue. Like all of the hotel was all dessert themed. They had cherries as light bulbs, and the bar stools were licorice all sorts, and it was just all dessert kind of inspired. So that was like a really exciting opportunity for me. My mind just started going, and I had like so many ideas. I kind of hit the ground running going into there. Obviously, taking over from Chrissy Tanya, I knew I had fairly big shoes to fill. So I didn't want to go in there just ordinary. So I went in there, just went crazy, just kind of like did everything, all the ideas that I've had over the years that I couldn't pull off by myself. I was able to kind of put on the menu in this venue, and yeah, just had heaps of fun there. Had a really great team, and yeah, we did some really cool things, and yeah, that was a great experience.
As you mentioned, Nom Nom was a pretty wild venue and an incredible offering. Was there any sort of standout desserts from that period of time that you can tell us about that you created?
Yeah, actually, I was actually sent to Japan through a Valrhona course. They send 8 pastry chefs every year over to the Valrhona Academy to do a course, and you go around and eat a lot of Japanese food, and they show you around some Michelin star restaurants. And anyway, I was introduced to the chocolate over there, the Valrhona Dolce. So I thought I would create a dish that basically I was inspired by my time in Japan. So yeah, I created this dish called the Autumn in Japan. So yeah, it was the Valrhona Dolce paired with popcorn, miso, and mandarin. And we used to create these autumn leaves. We'd actually forage leaves off the trees, and then we'd use them as a mold stencil for the leaves, and then so they looked really realistic, and they had pocky sticks, and yeah, so that had all the all the flavors that are kind of representative of Japan. So yeah, that dish was probably a standout there.
You moved away from sort of working in kitchens for a little period of time. Tell us a bit about that and what impact it had on you.
Yeah, I did a little bit of consulting after Omnom for a few event venues in Melbourne. Just going in there, writing menus, training staff, creating different experiences, and I did a few collaborations with a few restaurants, and yeah, that's really fun. Obviously, going out and networking with other chefs and other venues is always a great thing. It's always super fun. So yeah, that's been quite fun.
What lured you back into the commercial kitchen?
Well, the opportunity arose. I heard through the grapevine that Martin Ben and Vicky Wild were closing Sepia in Sydney and moving to Melbourne to open a restaurant. And I basically I needed to work there. I needed to work with Martin Ben. So I just set my mind, but I need to work there. So I got in contact with Martin, and we had a few meetings and a few catch-ups, and I got the position of head pastry chef at Society, Lillian, and Yakimono. So that's obviously that was a big step for me. Working alongside my culinary hero, I guess. He's just phenomenal. And that was a really great experience working for him and for Vicky, and yeah.
What is it about Martin Ben that inspires you so?
He's just next level. His dedication and his detail to perfection. It's just we'd have a very kind of long, lengthy kind of a process behind creating dishes, and we get to a point, where we'd be happy with the dish, everyone's happy, it's great. And then the next day he'd come and be what can we do to make it better? How can we make this better? So it's always even to the point we get to the where we're happy, it still needs to be better, So it's he was always really pushing me to find better ways to do better. So that was quite rewarding. And working quite closely. I was obviously really lucky for about a year and a half of the lead up to opening the venue. We worked very closely in a little test kitchen at the back of the Lucas Group office, and I got to obviously learn his style, what he does like and what he doesn't like, and how his kind of thought process works. And that was obviously invaluable experience for me.
Martin's not necessarily a pastry chef, but he's renowned for some of his incredible desserts that were showcased at Sepia. What were some of the creations that you worked on together that, during that period of time, maybe one or two you could tell us about?
I'd probably have to say the most memorable would be the Metropolis. So the flavours of the Metropolis came from a dish from CPR, and it basically from the forest to the city. So it was basically what we did was we got the blueprints of the building that the society was built in, and we got the chocolate mold made in Belgium, from the blueprints of the building. And we sprayed it so it kind of had that, sparkle of the sun, like different angles, it was different colours. And yeah, so that was probably the most fun to kind of create. A lot of that, the development and the testing was done at home during lockdown. We were obviously, we had a very sketchy start, like ups and downs, starting, stopping, lockdowns and whatnot. And so, yeah, we took a lot of stuff home. We just did a lot of like testing at home. And yeah, I did a lot of testing for this chocolate. I have like blue paint, black paint all over my backyard, and like, glitter everywhere. And yeah, but yeah, that was fun.
Tell us a little bit about your creative process. Where does the idea for a dessert begin, and where does it end when you've sort of finalised it?
I get inspiration from pretty much everywhere. Like I get obviously inspiration from nature. A lot of my dishes, you can kind of see the inspiration from like my growing up, like, seafood. Like I recently did an oyster. I made an oyster shell out of cocoa butter, and I built the oyster. And it was so realistic that, people were like, they were hesitant to bite into the shell. Even when I said, you can eat the whole thing, they were like, what? Like you saw their faces just so confused. But yeah, obviously I love to kind of create things that, no one's ever seen. And it's just like a really like wow factor for people. And I just love people's reactions. And I just get ideas. Like, I've got like thousands of like little notepads with ideas I've like jotted down like over the years. Yeah, ideas come to me, and then I kind of just work through them. Sometimes they're just way out there, just like that's not gonna work, and you kind of just refine it. You take things from different ideas, and then it just kind of is born, and then you kind of just play with it and see how you can get it better. That's kind of my process. So
for the time being, you've left the restaurant world in a certain way to sort of go out on your own. What are your plans for the year ahead as you build your brand?
Yeah, I'm working with a few venues. Consulting and working on menus for a few venues. I'm also launching a desserts inspired event called Sugar Theory. So we're going to explore the relationship between food and pleasure. So so that will be launching very soon, and a few other things down the track. But yeah, definitely a few exciting things in the pipeline.
It's been a crazy couple of years, and particularly for those in Melbourne as well, in the hospitality sector. Has that period of time had an impact on you and sort of your approach and what you want to get out of your career moving forward?
I think the dining scene is definitely changing, and I think you need to be able to adapt to the different environments and how people like go out and eat, and everything's kind of changing. So I just feel like you kind of need to just be resourceful and just kind of think outside the box as far as experiences in dining is concerned, because people want something different, something unique, and I think you really need to kind of keep pushing to give them that, especially in Melbourne.
You ventured into pastry, and it's been sort of a big part of your life ever since. What is it about desserts and pastry that you love?
I think it's just the creative side. There's really no boundaries with desserts. Do you know what I mean? I think the creative side, and it is like art. For me, it's kind of like art on a plate. And I think I really love my job. I love seeing people love my food, and that kind of really drives me forward to be better.
Well, you've had an impact on so many people with your creations, and look forward to seeing what emerges as you've stepped out on your own. Joe, it's been an honour to have you on Deep in the Weeds today to hear a part of your story. Please keep in touch and we'll catch up again soon.
Sweet as. Thanks, Huck.
This is the Deep in the Weeds podcast. I'm Anthony Huckstep. Stay tuned as we take a deep dive into the lives of the incredible people who ply their trade in the food and hospitality sector. Special thanks to executive producer Rob Locke for making this all happen. Follow us on Instagram at Deep in the Weeds Podcast, or email us at podcast@deepintheweeds.com.au, and be well.